Hi, I'm Will from Venture to Rome, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to get the most out of Overland Expo. Specifically, I'll be talking about Overland Expo Pacific Northwest, but a lot of the stuff I'm covering today is applicable to any Overland Expo that you go to. So let's get started. The first thing you should know about Overland Expo is that it's all about the vendors, the gear. Anything else that happens there is either a value add on their part in order to get you to enjoy your time and want to keep coming back, or it's a byproduct of what happens when the community comes together. Let me tell you more what I mean here. Follow the money. And I don't mean that in a bad way at all, but if you look at the revenue streams of expos, not just Overland Expos, any expos, it starts with the vendors, the brands. They pay hefty sums of money to have booths at the expos. They do this because Overland Expo promises them a ton of foot traffic at these events that will justify the cost of a booth. So you have big brands and small brands all getting a booth and setting up at the expo in hopes that over the course of 3 to 4 days, they're gonna meet you and you will eventually buy something from them. That's it. That is one of the critical revenue streams for expos. The other critical revenue stream is your ticket, which is why it's important to know how this whole thing works so you can get the most out of it, take advantage of your time there, get the best deals, and plug into the community, which is what we're going to talk about. First, let's talk about the tickets. Now, there are 3 basic types of tickets you can get for Overland Expo. There is the day pass, the camping pass, and the VIP camping pass. I have not done the VIP camping pass, but I'll tell you about it. I've done the other 2. So day pass is for people who do not want to camp on the grounds at Expo. So if you live close by, if you're working this into a trip or maybe you're camping near town, if you just don't want to camp and you want to rent a house in town or something like that, this is a great option. And they're pretty affordable. It's anywhere between 25 and 50 bucks a day, depending on when you buy it. So that's what I'm doing this year with Kate. We've got day passes. The other kind of ticket you can get is like a weekend camping pass. And the camping pass means that you have designated spot to camp on the premises. And you just have to decide if you want to do this or not, because it's not like regular camping. It's like camping with 10,000 of your closest friends, even if they're not really your closest friends. It's a very different experience. The camping ground in Bend is fantastic. It's kind of a semicircle, this big open field. You're camping on grass, so it feels very luxurious, but they napalm it for bugs. So sometimes grass has a bunch of mosquitoes and things in it. Not in my experience so far in Bend. It's been really clean. It's been really nice. It's been bug free, but you're also really close to other people for 4 days that you're there. And so you just have to decide if you want to do that or not. Now, VIP ticket, which is, I would say, relatively expensive. And what the VIP ticket gets you is like a better section to camp in. They call it better. They put you kind of closer to the main entrance, I think, and a little bit more secluded away from what I call general population, where I've camped in the past. And then you get some extra benefits. You get like free drinks at happy hours and some special things that happen there because you have a VIP ticket. I would say if I were to make a recommendation, I would recommend getting the general pop pass, just this general camping pass, or get a day pass. Okay, when you buy your ticket, whatever ticket you might buy, you have to fill out a waiver of some sort. This is like an Overland Expo thing. I haven't done this with other expos. There's like a liability waiver or something that you sign that basically says you won't hold Expo liable if you hurt yourself doing something stupid or using some piece of equipment, or I haven't really read it all the way through, but you sign it in order to go in, and they won't let you in unless you sign it. So you got to sign the waiver. You can do it online. They send you an email right after you buy your ticket, or if you haven't done it before you get there, I think you can do it at the actual grounds. And so when you get there, it's important to know the layout of the Bend Expo, which is similar to other expos as well. You have a place that you kind of go to check in first. So in Bend, you kind of drive to a different parking lot. You get out of your car. There's tables there, and they have computers, and they basically check you in, give you your wristband or whatever they're doing that year, your lanyard, and your little bag of stuff. And then you can go into the parking lot or into the camping area. So there's like a check-in spot that you go first. Once you check in, you're free to roam, free to go in. But just know that you got to fill out the waiver and you got to check in. Now, once you buy your ticket, I highly, highly recommend that you download the app. There's a Overland Expo app. that you can find on Android and the Apple Marketplace. Download it. It is so helpful. So number one, it has all the vendors listed. It has all the events listed with times and schedules and things. They'll send you push notifications throughout the event, which is really nice. It's like, oh, this happy hour starting, or oh, this film festival starting, or oh, there's this sponsor of the expo is doing a certain thing. So it's really helpful to have that because it kind of gives you real-time information about what you might want to be doing or where you might want to be going. It also has a map of all of the vendor spots. So you'll see on like Instagram or Facebook or something, people will post, I'll be at booth A25. And it's like, okay, where's A25? Well, the app has the map on there and you can see, oh, there's A25. What I wish it had was like a GPS locator. So you could say, oh, here's where I am and here's where A25 is. So I know exactly how to get from here to there. But it's still nice to have that map that you can look at on your phone whenever you need it. And I end up using it a ton when I'm at Expo. Okay, so let's talk about getting there and getting organized and getting set up. So if you just have a day pass, go to the parking lot, go in, have a good time, leave, no big deal. But if you're camping, there's a few important things you should know. So after you sign your waiver and check in, you should know that it's kind of a half circle camping area that's all on grass. That's kind of the edge, the outer edge of the Expo area. And it is staffed by volunteers. So I think if you volunteer like 12 hours, you get a free ticket at Expo or something like that. And so know that the people that you're talking to as you're trying to find a camping spot are volunteers. They're there to help you and remind you of the rules. But they're not employed by Overland Expo, so be careful if you get frustrated with them because they're just volunteers. It's first come, first serve. And they kind of open up one area, fill it up with people, then open up another area, fill it up with people. And so if you want to camp with your friends, it's really important that you all get there at the same time because it's first come, first serve, and you can't save spaces. Have everybody get there at the same time and have your space together, which is really fun because it's nice to have people that you know that you're camping next to. Otherwise, you're camping next to total strangers. Which, if you like that, that's great. That's not really my thing. Although everybody tends to get along, I have to say. Like everyone is kind of in it together when you get there. But my preference is to arrive with my friends, have our space to set up, and enjoy it that way. Now, there are bathrooms and there are showers in the camping areas. The bathrooms and showers, one year were together. It was like one kind of unit. Last year, I think Geyser Showers came on as a sponsor, so they split them up. They had like pretty nice and clean porta potties for the bathrooms, and then they had the Geyser, shower setup area. And the important thing to know is it's not really a long walk to either of those things, no matter where you're camping. It's a relatively short walk to the bathrooms or to the showers. And there's not really ever a line that I've noticed for the bathrooms. However, there has been a line for the showers. So my advice is to go really early. I think it opens at like 7:30, 8 o'clock, something like that. Go early and beat the line. Because if you get there at like 9 o'clock when everyone is up and ready to shower, you're going to be standing in line for 15 minutes before you take a shower, which really sucks. Or go late. Go like right at 10. I think they close at 9:30 or 10 or so, I don't know, something like that. Find out when the hours are. Go early or go like 10 minutes before they close, and you'll probably slip right in and avoid that line. Okay, let's talk about what to bring with you. This is critically important. Bring sunscreen. Oh my gosh. Bring sunscreen. It is so sunny in Bend. There is no shade. No shade but what you bring with you. You're gonna be in the sun. It's inevitable. So bring sunscreen, apply it liberally and apply it often. Bring lots of water. So you don't necessarily need to bring a lot of food because you can buy food there. Although Bend hasn't really had a lot of breakfast options, which is not a big deal to me. But there's lunch and dinner options you can get from food trucks that are kind of parked throughout the expo grounds. But water's hard to come by. They have some water stations kind of sprinkled throughout, but bring a refillable water bottle with you, one that's like insulated so it keeps the water cold, and refill it often. Bring a ton of water with you in your rig so you always have lots of water. It is so easy to get dehydrated when you're there, and I have done it every time I've been. Bring a power solution and bring a solar panel to charge it. So if you are bringing a refrigerator or you have any kind of electronics, like me, I've got cameras and different batteries and things you want to recharge, even just your phone and your iPad or your computer or whatever, you're gonna want to have a power station. And if you're an overlander like me, you're used to like leaving your campsite every day and spending a lot of time charging things off of your alternator. Well, you're there for like 3 or 4 days. And every time I've been there, I have run my batteries out of power and I have like forgotten to bring a solar charger. So bring a solar panel to charge your stuff up. You'll have lots of time. There's lots of sun there. It's very good for solar panels, but definitely bring that. Bring comfortable walking shoes. I am a flip-flops guy. Like, I love to wear flip-flops. I hate wearing socks. I really don't like wearing shoes for the most part. And I have killed my feet at expos. So wear comfortable walking shoes. You're going to be putting in a ton of steps. Dress really lightly. Shorts and a t-shirt or a tank top. It has been like murderously hot. So in the past 2 years at Bend, it's been like 90 degrees plus during the day. Which means that in the sun with no shade, it feels like it's 104. Like, it's brutal. And then the last thing is bring a headlamp, a lantern, or a flashlight, or all three, because it's not that you can't find your way around camp. Like, if you're walking around in the dark, that's not a big deal at all. It's really the bathrooms, especially if you're sitting down. Like, if you don't have a light when you're sitting down in the bathroom, like, bad things can happen. Now's a good time to tell you that one of the reasons I can make videos like this is because there are companies out there that choose to sponsor this type of content. And today's sponsor is Onyx Off-Road. Onyx is an off-road and off-grid mapping app that's powerful, intuitive, and pretty affordable. What I like the most is they take like 95% of the information that you need and they make it available to you all the time. So like, you don't have to toggle on different layers or download layers and things from other sources. It's like private land, public land, MVUM information, current fires, snow layers. Like, those are the things that you need when you're on the road, topo, satellite, or a hybrid of topo and satellite. Like, that's what I need when I'm out there. And sometimes it's nice to have like super sophisticated information, but honestly, those are like nice to have. So what I need when I'm on road are the things that Onyx already serves up, and it's always there for you to use. So that's what I really like about it. If you haven't tried it yet, they have a 7-day free trial where you can test it out before you decide to buy. And if you do decide to buy it, you can use the code V2R20 to save 20% on your annual subscription. And that link is in the description below. Okay, back to the expo. Let's talk about organizing your time. Expo is an excellent place to look at things that you can't otherwise see. So rooftop tents, awnings, trailers, certainly those big items that we wind up online shopping for because there's no place we can see them all together is I think a really good use of your time if you're in the market for one of those things. So go see all the rooftop tents or all the awnings. Like, choose your category and organize your time accordingly. So I say, make sure that you get that in, because it is an excellent way to preview and get a feel for those products that you can't do anywhere else besides an expo like that. The other thing is, if you are new or you're just interested in learning more, there are fantastic classes that are offered throughout the weekend. And so my advice is to look at that class schedule, like cooking at camp taught by an expert camp chef. I know that I've got some friends that are doing like how to be a YouTuber in this world, which I think is really interesting. I won't be at that one because I won't be at Expo yet this year, but I know that one's being offered in 2024. So that's an example of a class. I've seen self-defense classes being taught there, how to, use a mapping software, how to plan your trip, how to pack. Like, there's just really good topics that if you're looking to learn from an expert, you can do that at Expo. And so my recommendation is choose the things like the products that you want to see and make sure you carve off like, okay, I'm going to take 3 hours on Friday morning before it gets too hot, and I'm going to go look at those things. So start early before the sun comes up and it gets really, really hot for the vendor stuff. Then when it gets hot, go get lunch early to avoid the lines at the taco stand. And then go find afternoon classes, because those are in shaded areas. So you can sit down, you can get some shade, and you can avoid kind of getting sunburned, and you can learn something as well. Okay, the last fun thing that I think you might be interested in is planning your time around meet and greets. So you might have a favorite YouTuber, and they often are posting their schedules or posting where they're gonna be throughout the expo. So if there's somebody that you really wanted to meet that's made a difference to you, some video creator in our space that has inspired you or given you helpful information, or just somebody that you want to see in person, it's pretty easy to do that at Expo. You can plan some of that time around their meet and greets, because most of them post their schedules ahead of time. So you can say, oh, okay, Will's going to be at Ironman 4x4, or Will's going to be over at Factor 55 at, on this day at that time, or Will's going to be with Epic Adventure Outfitters in the Kraken air inflation system at this time. And then you can plan your day around actually meeting some of those personalities that you may be interested in seeing. Let's talk about finding those magic moments that only happen when the community comes together. This is one of my favorite things about Expo, is that you've got overlanders from all over the region, sometimes all over the country, sometimes all over the world. You've got all your favorite brands, anything you can possibly imagine has been invented and is there in terms of gear and brands and vendors and things. And then they're all mixing together for a weekend, and that creates some magic moments. So here's my advice on trying to find those magic moments. Okay, my first piece of advice is to wander the general pop campgrounds and just stop and talk to people. So my favorite rigs, my favorite builds, my favorite conversations always happen just wandering around the campgrounds and seeing somebody and saying hi and asking them about their builds and their background and where they're from and where they like to go camping and overlanding and all that stuff. It is wonderful. And most everybody is very welcome to that conversation, at least in my experience, and just have some magic moments, some serendipitous moments that only happen when we're all together in the same place. Like you can't really do that anywhere else. And so take advantage of that. Okay, the next thing I highly recommend is to crash a party or two. So there are parties happening all over. Like the brands are throwing parties, and I'm throwing a party even. Like I'm throwing a party for my YouTube friends and inviting our subscribers, a meet and greet kind of potluck thing that we're doing. So like if you see something happening, just go. Just go. Like no one's going to kick you out. I've never been kicked out. I've never even got a dirty look. The worst thing that could happen is they tell you that you can't be there. But I mean, that's probably not going to happen. So crash a party. So the next thing I think you should try when you're there is to sample the film festival. So a lot of times in the evenings, there are films that are being shown at kind of the central pavilion area. And the creators of those films are generally there to do talkbacks and Q&A and things like that after they show their films. And it's really cool. Like they do a pretty good job selecting some like non-traditional overlanding stuff that is interesting and intriguing, and then to hear from the person who is the focus of the film or the filmmaker themselves is also really cool. So take a look at the schedule and try that out, because it's a different side of Overland Expo that you may not be thinking about. Okay, I just want to share a few final tips with you on how to get the most out of your time at Overland Expo Pacific Northwest. So Bend is a fantastic town. Bend, Redmond, Sun River it's a fantastic area to visit on its own. So I think you should not forget the fact that you're in a really cool part of Oregon, and there's some pretty cool stuff to do in Bend. One of the things that I love in Bend is that they have a night stargazing program that you can go to. They have an observatory, and they have a place where you can buy a ticket and they do kind of a guided stargazing session. It's super cool. It's definitely worth your time, definitely worth your money. And it's something that I think is really special that you can do in Bend that's outside of Expo. The other thing I want to recommend to do while you're in Bend is visit the High Desert Museum. Work it into your schedule. Spend some time at Expo, leave, go to the museum, or go, stargazing one of the nights that you're there. I think it'll really help enhance your experience at Expo and your time in Bend. And the High Desert Museum is phenomenal. So I highly recommend that you see it. Okay, very last little tips. So all the vendors are there to sell you stuff, right? Some of them are actively selling you stuff. You can buy stuff when you're there. Some of them kind of want your business later. Some of them are only doing like online sales. But if you are looking for bargains, my advice is to go shopping for reels on Sunday, because a lot of these brands are bringing inventory with them and they would love to sell it. So you might be able to negotiate a little bit of a bargain on Sunday, whereas on Friday and Saturday, there's a lot of traffic there and they're hedging their bets a little bit. You may not be able to get a deal. But if you're looking for a bargain, not telling you can find one, but you have a higher chance of doing it on Sunday afternoon when they're looking at all the inventory that they haven't sold yet. They might cut you a deal. Speaking of deals, a lot of brands are doing Expo only deals. They have special sales that they do during the Expo. And so it might actually be a good time to make one of those bigger purchases because of the incentives they would give you for buying it at Expo. And if you're buying something like a tent or an awning or a refrigerator or something that's big, it's great because you can see it there, you can see it work, and you can kind of test it out before you buy it, which you can't do anywhere else. So look for those deals that the brands are offering up front and take advantage of them while you're there. Okay, my last little tip is to go see the little booths. So some of the most innovative and interesting and new companies can't afford the big center stage, massive booths. They can only afford these little teeny tiny booths that are kind of shoved in the corners and nooks and crannies. And I think visiting those booths is really, really fun because you see things that are new, you see things that are super innovative, that are just coming to market, or you see something that's like truly a family business. And I always enjoy meeting those companies and seeing the stuff that they're working on. Well, I hope you got some useful and helpful information in this video. I hope that you attend one of these expos and have a great time. And until then, I'm Will from Venture to Rome. Thanks for watching.